it's seldom the CSO that is the problem. It's often the organization that are not listening to the CSO for that is the problem.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CSO Impact Podcast, where we talk to leaders in sustainability and discuss how work can have a positive impact on our planet and on everybody. And I'm really pleased to talk today with Ingmar Rentzhog. He's the co-founder of We Don't Have Time, calling from Sweden today, 12 points to Sweden. Ingmar has been a longtime friend, fellow in the change-making arena of sustainability, climate change, and everything around that. And you have a quite interesting way how you look at things, how your journey started, and the whole podcast is about you today. Let's find out who is Ingmar Rentzhog. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Harald. I'm live and kicking.
Fantastic. Well, luckily, we saw each other just a couple of weeks ago in Paris, which was exciting for you. But before we go into whatever is the current news with your media group, why don't you tell us a little bit about the background of, let's say, how you launched We Don't Have Time. So how did it start with the idea of We Don't Have Time? And describe a little bit how you, what's your work and your mission?
Yes, so my background is that I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and before I started We Don't Have Time, that is 8 years ago now, I was running an investor relations consulting company in Sweden. So we helped big banks, insurance companies, public traded companies with communication to investors. So that was what I was doing for 14 years. At most, we were 50 people, and it was a lot of fun. We were actually one of the fastest growing company in Sweden. But when you have done that for a very long time, it starts, you kind of know, you don't learn so much new things. And on the same time, I became a father and got my first child. That is now my daughter, 14 years, just last week. And on that kind of period in my life, I started to think about what's kind of coming in the future, not just what I'm going to do next vacation, but what's happening in 5, 10, 20 years from now. And I started to read about the climate. I mean, of course, I, as everyone else, kind of aware of global warming. It's a little bit bad, but it's something long time in the future. And when I started to read about this was the time when internet and social media was very much about sharing news. And the algorithms, when you have started to click on one kind of news, it's kind of feed you with more and more and more. And I became extremely concerned that what I read was not what was publicly discussed or what other people were concerned. It was a very, very big gap between how severe the climate crisis were and what people know about it. And this got me thinking a lot, but I didn't do so much. I mean, my company, we helped actually everything from a lot of clean tech companies, but we actually also have companies active in the oil industry. But when I started to really the kind of moment when I realized that I felt that I wanted to do something about this was actually when Donald Trump won the US election in 2016. That's where the moment where I realized that our world leaders, they will never solve this for us. And it was not just Donald Trump. He was just the first leader saying that I don't give a shit about this. The rest were kind of saying that they were giving a shit, but they were not doing anything. So that's where the moment where I felt that this crisis really need communication. That's what we're lacking. We have the solutions, we know the problem, but not enough people are engaged in this problem. So that were the moment where I came up with the idea. We don't have time. Why not build a platform and use everything I learned in finance, how to communicate and build trust for financial companies, but for climate and sustainability stuff.
So we don't have time is more or less like a, let's say, social media platform, a Facebook for climate activists, climate information. Somebody called you, what is it, the Zuckerword of media or something. What was the idea to build the platform, and how did you start the first year, for example? Just what was the first news?
So this was 8 years ago, and at that time, social media were really shaping the society and shaping change in society. You had the Me Too movement that was very much driven on social media. You also had the Arabic Spring. So it was kind of used for many causes, but it was not used for the climate. And when you share news about the climate change, when I did that on social media, you will always constantly attacked by crazy trolls and people attacking you, like you're an idiot, or they were kind of very annoying. And I think that's the reason still why many people are kind of not talking about this on social media, because they are constantly being questioned, attacked, etc. So the kind of first version of We Don't Time, we were sold social media. But we have evolved since then, and the world has also evolved. So today, social media is not really the same what it was 8 years ago. And people are very skeptical with social media. People still use it, but people are skeptical. And people are very tired of signing up to new platforms. So what we did, have pivoted We Don't Time into, is a media platform. That social media is a big part, but we are actually combining the social media aspect by having everyone on the platform to create reviews, send that to leaders, companies, and politicians and other leaders. So our community are creating the content, but we have editors that are highlighting this news that are most interesting. So it's kind of a combination between a traditional media and a social media. And what's happening on We Don't Time is not only staying on We Don't Time, we're very much collaborating with other media platforms, other media outlets, etc., to get it out from We Don't Time. So when we started, we actually had a go, and that was in my first pitch. When we raised money for this, and that was that we were going to have 100 million users 5 years. We don't have 100 million users today. We have 120,000 users. So that is of course a big difference. But we were wrong on one thing when we assumed that we were able to have on board 100 million users, and that was that I thought very naively that everyone were like me, that they were kind of, once they understood the problem, they were going to become active, and they will absolutely download an app that will help them with information. But most people, they are not leaders. They are followers. And I built We Don't Time platform very much for leaders, because I did it as I wanted to have a platform. We didn't do focus groups and all that. I don't really believe in that. So we pivoted into a platform that attracted leaders instead. So the 120,000 people we have on the platform is people like you, Harald, people that your network also have is very much similar. It's people working professionally every day, changing the world. So that's the people using the platform. So we have changed the platform into being a tool where leaders can influence others. We will build this amplification. So we actually have passed this 100 million goal, but not as users, but as a reach. So we have a reach on a monthly basis average 200 million, but not on our own platform, but outside the platform. But this was not part of the plan. I mean, when you build something that no one has built before, there you can't have a business plan. I forget that. You can have a business plan if you build a business that others have done many times, like you were going to build a new car. There are a lot of car manufacturers out there. But if you're doing something that never have been done before, you can't navigate it with a 5-year plan. You need to test, evaluate, adapt, and be very, very fast on evolving. So that's what we have done.
But you do have impressive numbers. So let's say if the memberships is not the number you expected, but your reach on YouTube and the videos that you show and all the interviews and all the material has impressive numbers. So maybe you can share just like some of the achievement, which is, I think, is mind-boggling.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing we did when we started this, first, this was an ID. It was just my ID. I was not an expert on climate change or anything, so it was very much out of comfort zone. So I was a little bit afraid of telling my colleagues about this. So actually, I told one of my I had ex-colleagues, but also a friend since my way back in school, childhood friend, David also. And we had a dinner, and instead of he saying to me that this is just a crazy idea, forget about it, he said, let's do it. And we did. So he played a really critical role of believing in this idea to create a platform, because he also felt that the world needs something like this. So that was kind of how it started. And we had like weekly lunches where we were kind of planning on how can we take this further. And half year later, we did a crowdfunding. And we did that by investing our savings into a short crowdfunding, into a short crowdfunding video. And with the help of that video, we raised $1 million. So that was how it all started.
Great. And so now from some of these episodes that you're running, you obviously also, let's say, go to events, experiences. As I just said, we met in Paris. So what is the role of gatherings? Let's say we have the climate weeks, there's COP coming up. Let's talk about COP later, but Change Now, Climate Week London, Climate Week New York, some of the events you've been to in Azerbaijan and others. What do you think is the relationship of having a huge media platform and then basically in real life connections with some of your, let's say, influencers, leaders that you can have in front of your camera with your team?
Yes, so we are very active today on international events, and the way we see our role is to go there and bring out the conversation happening from those events to everyone. Because normally those events are very close, you need to get an invitation, and what's discussed there are mostly discussed with people that are agreeing with each other, but not the people that needs to hear it. And how that started was actually that when we had crowdfunded this, we wanted to launch Wheel of Time, get people to know about this. I mean, in our name, it's Wheel of Time. We can't build something first and reveal it when it's done. We need to reveal it when we just are doing it. So we wanted to launch Wheel of Time globally. And we had a lot of ideas, very bad ideas. So we were sitting on this board meeting, brainstorming day. We had a lot of ideas. We came up with to do something here in Stockholm, very locally. And at the end of the day, when half of the people that were participating had gone home, me and the ones in the team that were still there, we don't believe in this. We need to do something totally, completely different. And someone come up with this idea. But hey, there has never been a climate conference that people don't fly to. That is 100% digital. Everything is digital, but this has never been done. So we came up with the idea to create a concept with modern technology where we were able to bring in people. This was 2018, so no one had heard of Zoom and those technologies. We kind of used Zoom 0.1. And we were kind of 1 month until the date, so we were very short time. And this is a great idea. No one had done it. We can really make a mark globally. But we need to have really good speakers. How are we going to get the speakers on board? Because we didn't have the network. I mean, now we have, but back when, no. And it happened to be so that we were actually, one of my CTO I were actually invited to UN for some event. Very mysterious. I don't know how I really got that invitation. But I sent my CTO because I was expecting my second children. And he met a lot of important people there. So we said to ourselves, if this person will be your first speaker, we will do this concept. And we sent out a mail to this high-level person, and he immediately replied, yes, I want to do that. So that's how we came up with this digitalized climate conversation. And since then, this has become something we do often. It's very much part of the platform. So we have the discussion on the platform, and we have the discussions going on through those events where we now are having a team in place. We often work with the organizers. So this Change Now conference, we were both in Paris. The only way people were able to watch it live that were not there were through We Don't Have Time. So now we are doing a lot of things together. Event organizers are coming to us, but from the beginning we kind of sneaked in back door and started to film. Now we have more official. So in June, we're going to work with International Energy Agency for a very high level gathering in Brussels about energy efficiency, where we will have 50 energy ministers in the room and about 100 global CEOs and Ursula von der Leyen and the EU Commission, etc. And those discussions have never been rodent before. So that's where we are.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the initiatives that you started. Obviously, there's one big one from Change Now, but maybe we can talk just briefly about just before you had something like Move the Money and talking about fossil fuel engagement with some of the funds in Sweden. Maybe let's touch upon this and then we go to the big red herring.
Yes, so we are a media company, meaning that we are not an NGO that are campaigning in that sense, but we can use our power because media is power. And I haven't built We Don't Have Time to just be following the trends. We are here to contribute that we're actually solving climate crisis. That's our mission. That's why I founded this platform. And the way we are funded is through our partners. So we have today more than 400 companies, non-profit organization, and also governmental organization as our clients. They are doing a lot of climate initiatives. So what we help them with is to get their initiatives out, amplify them. And that's how we are working together. So Future.io, you are one of the clients we work with. WWF are another client. UNDP is another one. But it's also big global corporations like Google, Microsoft, etc. And the way we work is that our community, they can interact and also give feedback. So it's not only bragging about everything that is good, it's also like answering criticism, etc. So that's how we are funded. But in order to make this the communication very, very effective, sometimes there is things out there that needs to be coordinated, where you have many companies and NGOs and also governments and other leaders that wants the same thing, but they're talking about it in different language. They don't really are fully coordinated. So that's where we came up with that we can help with that as well by creating initiatives. And one initiative, like you mentioned, is to Move the Money, where we work with companies active in the finance industry. And that can be asset managers, but it can also be startups that are doing scaling or implementing solutions for the climate. So the narrative here is that we need the money invested in the solutions, and we have a lot of data around that. So when you're choosing a bank, you can look up that bank on our platform, and you can see if they are investing in green solution or if they're investing in fossil fuel. So that's what we're talking about. It's not about divesting from fossil fuel investment. It's about moving the money from what's stopping change. For example, in Sweden, we have the state-owned pension fund where more than half of the citizens in Sweden are saving their money through. So this is huge. It's the biggest pension fund in Sweden. They invested, they were, according to data we had on our platform and also others were picking up, they invested, were one of the largest investors, I think it was top 12 or something like that, in Saudi Aramco oil. And Saudi Aramco oil is not a sustainable oil company. They are also, main owner is the Saudi Arabia state that is very much advocating for burning more fossil fuel. They are a stop in the climate regulations, etc. Or at least they were at that time. Maybe they were going to change, but at that time they were not doing good at all. So we invited this pension fund to a dialogue at the real-time platform. So I sat down with their head of sustainability and we had 1 hour conversation, and I had a little bit secret weapon because I worked in the finance industry in 15 years. So I know everything that is just blah, blah, blah. It was not that I was saying that they were, I was asking why they were doing this. And I let them explain, and they wanted to explain. So they actually, after we done this interview, we were friendly, and they shared this interview to their own LinkedIn page so that all their employees saw it, etc. And this story picked up when we published it on New York Times. So I think we had 5 or 10 international financial news agencies that published this story, because the reason they published it were that the kind of argument why they were doing this was a lot of dissonance. It didn't make sense. And a couple of months later, after we published this interview, they sold and blacklisted Saudi Aramco oil, because dialogue creates change if you do it a public dialogue. So that's what we believe in, and it's enormous power in that. So Move the Money has actually moved a lot of money by focusing on those issues.
Ingmar, you make so many things, but the most important and freshest campaign you just launched at Change Now with such an impressive roster of speakers. Let's dive in on that. What is this new campaign, and tell us all about it.
So the campaign and the initiative we launched and revealed at Change Now is something we call Make Science Great Again. It's very needed because what we see now is that there is a lot of special interest, have their money and power from the fossil fuel sector that are feeling very, very threatened because the green transition is starting to win. So they are now trying to cancel the science itself. One example I talked about in Paris, where the observatory in Hawaii that had been measuring carbon dioxide in the atmosphere for more than 50 years daily, that observatory now under threat of being and the land lease where they are doing their business. And the reason for this is that they want to stop the data, because the data is dangerous, because the data will not support the fossil fuel industry. And it's not just in the US, it's happening everywhere, in Europe as well. The people that are not willing to change, that are threatening on their power base, instead of just giving up, they are doing the last battle. So we need to push through this, and that's why we have created this initiative, Make Science Great Again. You can read about it on WeKnowTime.org/Make Science Great Again. And we want everyone on board. So we launched this in Paris, and it's all about defending science and also helping science to have a platform so people embrace it. If we wait until science are cancelled as a news story media, we have lost. We need to act before this is playing out. And I see this as a lost battle. If you're afraid when disinformation against science doesn't work anymore, so you feel that you need to cancel the science itself, that's a losing battle because you can only delay what will happen anyway because the truth will always be the one that people believe in. But you can distort it for a couple of years, and we don't have time to wait for it.
Thank you for your campaign. And again, I thought it was impressive, the people you had on the panel, from Sandrine Dixon-de-Clève to Bertrand Piccard, and the head of, I think, the Academia of Science of France, and some others. Maybe you can point out some of the people who were present.
I mean, it was not hard to get people on board and to start defending science, but they are not, I mean, if they only stand and do it themselves, they are not getting heard. So we are giving them a platform. This is what this is all about. And since we revealed that in Paris, I've actually been in contact with many major newspapers, everything from The Economist to the China State News Agency to big newspapers in Germany, in Sweden, etc. And I actually got an invitation the other day from the Vatican that have a science group that are protecting science. So that was a little bit unexpected. And it was very unexpected because once upon a time, the Vatican were the ones that were cancelling science. I'm talking about Galileo and all that story. But they have changed. And now they are one institution that are standing up for science. That's what everyone needs to do. Even if we have done wrong, we need to change because we want the best thing for humanity.
It'll be interesting how the new American Pope is, delving into this. I think the former Pope Francis was very much onto this with his Laudatio Si and some of the initiatives that he pushed and focused. And so I thought there was some little change in the cracks of the institution of the Vatican. So this kind of power play is always interesting, right? It's more like a political thing. You saw Trump having the AI picture of himself being the Pope, and now we have an American. But again, I think what's interesting is how you drive the initiatives and move this thing forward. And maybe there's how can people help, or how do you engage? Let's put it the other way. Obviously, this podcast is about chief sustainability officers, the role of corporates in all of that. And I know you partner with some corporates, but how do you see the role of the CSO? And are you interacting with some of these, let's say, C-level people within corporations?
Yeah, I mean, the role of the CSO is important because the CSO have the knowledge about the situation and they also have the knowledge of how to move into the direction of solving things. They often have a very special position that is very not so comfortable to have, I would say, because they are often in the position where they are high up in the hierarchy. They often don't have the highest salary, but they are often, on management level in big companies. But they often don't have any resources. They have seldom a large financial budget. They often need to go and ask their management to get the resources they need to do. And that tends to be very volatile. In good times, they get some money. In bad times, they get hardly no money or resources at all. So what I see needs to be done here is that everyone that are not in the company but see that the company have a good CSO, instead of criticizing that company if they're doing everything in the way they should, we should actually encourage and highlight those within those companies that try to change them. And that's why it's so important. I'm fully 100% behind this CSO award because we need to lift them up. And that's not always happening. I mean, the climate movement is very good at saying you're a greenwasher. And I can say, I mean, it's seldom the CSO that is the problem. It's often the organization that are not listening to the CSO for that is the problem. And if we're going to help that organization, we should call that out, of course, but we should also give attention to when those companies are doing some good initiative, because that's are often the CSO that have succeeded or get their colleagues on board. And today is often a little bit, if you do something good, you're getting criticized for what you're not doing good. And those that are not receiving the criticism are those that don't even have a CSO at all.
So you started We Don't Have Time in 2016 with a view on what happens the next 10, 15 years. And you have done quite some time of that already, 9 years. Now, when you look ahead the next 5 years and the, let's say, SDGs and all the goals we wanted to have until 2030, plus the current climate, and from, let's say, number 45 to President 47, all of the tensions around give us obviously a lot of either data and or disturbing news. How can we find the positive? Because as a media company, you can help certain narratives to appear and or pick up stories and or amplify exactly how you do it. What's your take on the next 5 years? And maybe I do it with two questions. Let's say your outlook for the next 5 years, and can, for example, an event like COP in the Amazon, where after three oil COPs more or less, when we go back to nature, can we use that as an on-ramp to something positive? So give us some hope in closing. What do you see the next 5 years? What do we have to do? What do you see as happening from your point of view?
I think what we need to realize, and that is that most people on this planet, they want to solve the climate crisis. They don't want to die in the future. They want to have a future for their kids. Most people realize that. Most people want that. There's even studies saying that it's about 80 to 90% of the people believe this very strongly. They want stronger action from their leaders, etc. But they don't believe their friends and neighbors think the same. So they are staying silent. So we need to talk to each other, and we need to do things together and figure out that I'm not alone in this. There is also what we need to have there in mind the coming 5 years, and that is we are not feeling the resistance because we're losing. We're feeling the resistance because the green transition are starting to win. And yes, it's going too slow. I mean, the emissions are going down too slow. It's not happening fast enough. Change are not happening fast enough. But there's so many things going on. And the reason why I'm 100% convinced, what's the real reason why we don't see the fast change, it's not that people are not want it to happen. It's not that we don't have the economy to make it happen. It's because there is some powerful resources that are spending billions into communicating in a way so that people are not engaging enough. And if we remove that resistance, it will go very, very fast. Yes, it will not go fast enough so that we will save everything. We will still, heat the planet. It will be a lot of damage. It will be sacrifices. It will not be comfortable. But we will be able to live on a planet, in a society where we take care of each other and where we're doing the right thing. And I know that this future is possible, but we need to work for it, and it will not get it for free. And when we get it, it will be a tougher life to live, but it will be a better life to live because we will live in harmony with nature and each other and understand that we need to cooperate and we need to have other leaders, and we're going to get those other leaders. But we need to remove the resistance. That is what everyone should focus on. And I have an encouragement to the CSO watching this. That is, don't stay silent. I know many CSO and many sustainable leaders that are afraid, but it will not get better if you don't use your voice. Because, I mean, if we're not raising our voice, it will be no leadership in sustainability 5 years from now. And you asked about COP. I mean, COP meetings are criticized because it's a lot of people gathering and the negotiations are not really working. But now we have another dynamics. US is not in anymore. There's other dynamics out there. You have other leaders stepping up, other countries stepping up. And we need those gatherings more than ever. I don't think COP30 will be the big breakthrough, but I think the COP30 can be the bridge to the big breakthrough. And we have seen something extremely positive, and that is the part of UN where they are deciding about the shipping industry. And they actually had a vote a couple of weeks ago where they were voting about introducing kind of a fee and a penalty for shipping industry that were not cleaning their fuel. That's a legal binding net zero regulation. And United States, they became mad as hell. So they actually exited the room before the vote. And the majority, all countries that were not oil countries were voting for this. And the countries that were in the driver's seat, that were the countries with big shipping industry. So here's an important kind of insight I want to share. That is, if we're going to win this, we need to help the most polluting industries out there to get fossil free. Not to get emission free as the main objective, but to get fossil free so that airlines, shipping industries, and oil refineries will not funnel their money into the fossil fuel industry. Because the fossil fuel industry have shown so many times that they will not change. But airline, shipping industry, and other heavy oil industry today, they can change. And we should encourage them, not fight them. And many times we are kind of portraying all of them as the enemy. They're not the enemy. They are just addicted to oil. And we need to help them to get free from that addiction. And we need to help the people inside those organizations to help their colleagues to get free from oil.
Thank you, Ingmar, for your help in pushing the topic to be so mission-driven and enthusiastic about it. Thank you for actually having the little preview just half a day before you announced it in Paris with our CSO reception. That was really well received. Thank you for the hat you gave me, but unfortunately somebody really wanted it more than me, so you see I'm blank. But thank you again for the friendship, for everything you do, and for the continued journey. And definitely, we're both on the road to Belém, and with a couple of stops in between. See you very soon.
Yes.
Thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you, Ingmar.
Yeah. And thanks for everything you do and your platform. It's really needed.